Getting a job in tech can be hard and daunting, especially if it's your first one. Every company prefers some experience, and how can you get experience if no one will take you? It's basically the tech version of the chicken or egg question. There are some things that you can do to make your life easier, and if you stick around, I will give you some practical advice that will help you get better at job interviews. Some of these might actually surprise you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alex, and I've been working as a software developer for a bit over 8 years now. I worked in several different companies, and during that time I've gone through hundreds of job applications and dozens of interviews, both as an applicant and as an interviewer. And I picked up some pieces of advice that I constantly share with other people looking to get into the tech industry or just find a different job. If this topic sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing for more videos like this, and let's jump into it. Decide on one language and go for it. If this is your first job, you should make your life easier by choosing one language and of course tools associated with it, and just stick with it. You will have less to study and you will retain your knowledge better. I would also pick either backend or frontend and also stick with it. This could be a new video on its own, but in short, focusing on one thing will ease your burden a bit as far as learning new things goes, and there might be less job opportunities since a lot of companies will want you to do everything, but it is also less stressful, and if you really specialize into something, your salary ceiling can be a lot higher than if you are a jack of all trades. Start looking right now, and I mean literally right now. I mean, watch the video until the end, but after that, start looking. Most people are waiting to get ready or prepare better, and it's not going to happen for one simple reason, and that is it's physically impossible to be ready for anything and everything you will get asked in an interview. Just start applying right away, and if you do have some knowledge gaps, you will fill them out along the way. You may wonder, what does this have to do with you failing your job interviews? But it definitely does. Similar to how you miss 100% of shots you don't take, you are technically failing 100% of interviews you don't apply for. So just start applying. If you don't have a LinkedIn account already, set one up definitely. I know some people love to hate LinkedIn, but it's a great place to look for jobs and to connect with both recruiters and other developers. Make sure to fill out as much of your profile as you can and start connecting with people. Also, make sure that your profile picture is on a professional side. You don't have to wear a suit and a tie or dress, but you should look at least decent and somewhat employable. Be prepared to fail and to get embarrassed. When you come to an interview, if this is your first job, you will have very little real knowledge of how software is built in a production environment. As a result, you will probably fail most of your interviews, if not all of them. The good thing is, it happens to everyone. Actually, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or depressing thing, but the point still stands. It does happen to everyone, and it will happen throughout your life, so might as well get used to it. Even if you are super well prepared for the interview, you are still going to get asked questions that you don't know an answer to. Your interviewers will try to gauge your knowledge level, and to do that, they will also ask you questions that are above the expected knowledge level for the position that you applied for. Sometimes they might even figure out you are not a good candidate for the position you applied to, but you might be a perfect candidate for a different one. Other times you will think you did good, but you will be passed for a better candidate, and that's all perfectly normal. You might also completely bomb the interview. You will come in feeling confident and miss every other question or even most of the questions. That's also normal, and you will learn to get over it once it's happened enough times. Have something to talk about. If you're applying to a software developer position, you will be asked about your past projects. You might not have previous work experience, but you absolutely must have something that you worked on. Pick out 2 of your best projects and be prepared to talk about them. For example, why did you make them? What problems did you have to solve? With the knowledge that you have now, what would you have done differently? If you don't have any projects, this is basically your cue to start building stuff. You can find interesting project ideas on this channel, or you can start by building your own website. It doesn't really matter if you don't have anything relevant to put up there. You can use it as your online CV until you build some stuff that you can showcase. Document everything. This stands for both your code and your experiences. If you don't already, you should have a GitHub account and you should upload to it everything you're working on. All your side projects should be in there, and when you get asked, do you have that code somewhere online, you can send them your GitHub page, which you should also have set up. If you don't know how to set up your GitHub page, I have a video on that topic as well. As I mentioned before, if you don't have an online portfolio page, build one in the form of a website or use your GitHub page instead. Either way, have something to show. If you don't have previous work experience, and even if you do, you will probably be judged by this because having or lacking a portfolio shows several different things about you. For example, you are willing to always develop your skills, which is very important in tech. You are ready to develop things on your own without getting paid, which shows you are passionate about tech, and you are not afraid to let others see and judge your code, which very well might be crappy. You might be awkward and you might be nerdy all you want, but if you want to work with people, you absolutely need to have some people skills. Reading books about body language and literal tutorials on how to behave in social situations really helped me out, and there are a lot of books covering this topic, but I can recommend two that I've read and I learned a lot from them. The first one is What Everybody is Saying, an ex-FBI agent's guide to speed reading people by Joe Navarro and Marvin Carlins, PhD, which covers involuntarily movements that our bodies make when we are under pressure or stress. And I'd say a job interview is a pretty stressful situation, so it definitely applies. Reading about body language and our natural instincts may help you discover what it is that you do when under stress and how to use that knowledge to be more calm in general. Second book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and the title sounds a lot more sinister than it really is. The book is really a giant text tutorial on how to have good, productive, and enjoyable conversations with people. While reading it, you might discover that those natural-born speakers are really just following a few different conversation formulas. This approach works because humans are sort of wired to expect to hear certain things in a conversation, and when we do, we communicate more easily with each other and our dialogues feel much more rewarding. Whatever you do, don't lie on your CV. Some people might tell you that everybody buffs up their resume and it's almost expected, and I can tell you that they don't, and it's not. In many interviews, your potential future colleagues will go through your entire CV and will want to know who they are dealing with. You don't want to say or write something that is disingenuous and get caught in a web trying to explain it off during an interview. It looks very bad and it's definitely not worth it. If you don't know something, just say it openly, but express interest and willingness to learn. No one expects you to know everything anyway, especially on your first job, but learning new stuff is the hallmark of this profession, so showing willingness to learn and figure out stuff shows you're a good fit for the profession at least, if not for the company. If you haven't worked with a language or a tool in a while, or you aren't proficient with it, leave it out of your CV or mark it differently from other more recent stuff. You will get asked about it and you will have no clue what you're talking about, so either mention it as being familiar with it or just skip it entirely. Lower your standards. Getting a foot in the door can be really hard, but choosing a half-open door could make things easier. Don't be picky with your first company. You have to start somewhere, but nowhere does it say it must be a FANG company. Pick smaller to medium companies, and this one may be a bit controversial, but try to be flexible with your first salary. I'm not saying that you should accept an amount that's not enough for you to just live, to just exist, but there is nothing wrong with selling yourself for a bit less if it means it will help you get your first job and you will benefit from it later by having an actual work experience. Interviews are hard, but they do get easier with practice. Connect with other people in similar position and don't lose hope. There are pretty big dev communities on Reddit and Twitter, which you should definitely check out. I recommend Learn Programming on Reddit. Another good platform for connecting with other developers is definitely DevTO website. Also, as I already mentioned, make a LinkedIn account and connect with other devs and recruiters there. Feel free to also connect with me if you need more advice on how to set up your profile. You can also reach out to me on Twitter and let me know if there are other topics you would like me to cover. Thank you for watching until the end. This is sort of a new video format for me, so let me know if you guys liked it, and if you would want more videos like this, please consider subscribing. My name is Alex, and I will see you in the next one.